Oi! Jesus, what now? What if I told you that the life cycle of every single movie genre perfectly follows the arc of Jared Leto's career? Mate, what the fuck are you on about now? Have you been huffing paint in the garden shed again? No, I only did that one time, you bloody pelican. The arc goes like this: indie, mainstream, sellout, total laughing stock, right? I'm with you. So what happens when a horror movie shows up that's already taken the piss out of a genre, but it's so successful that it doesn't end the cycle, it just starts the whole process all over again? Shit. You're talking about Scream. You know it. Now listen up, mate, because this one is a proper mindfuck. Okay, let's do it. And stay tuned till the end, because we're gonna rate this film out of 5 beers. Would you hurry up and get on with the movie? So the movie starts with a phone ringing and some spooky music, and then Drew Barrymore answers the phone. Okay, and why is that scary? Well, it's not. The only thing that's scary about this scene is how big landline phones used to be. Can you believe that? So Drew Barrymore dies years later from radiation poisoning. What? No, you bloody barnacle. The guy on the other end of the phone has dialed the wrong bloody number. But he's low-key trying to flirt with her, isn't he? Interesting. So she's into it. Well, at first, she's like, "I think you have the wrong number." Then she hangs up, but he calls right back and he's like, "What's up?" Really? Why? Wait, sorry, that was the wrong movie. Anyways, she starts leaking from the gash because he starts turning on the charm big time. And he asks her whether or not she's got a boyfriend. And get this, she says no. Yeah, nice. So he's in. Oh, you better believe it. So then she tells him that she's making some popcorn because she wants to watch a scary movie. And then he's like, "Oh, what's your favorite scary movie?" Okay, so what does she say? Well, she says her favorite scary movie is What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Well, that's not a scary movie at all. Well, it is a little bit scary because Leonardo DiCaprio's portrayal of a disabled person has not aged well, trust me. That would not fly today. Anyways, turns out this bloke on the other end of the line goes full Bill Clinton on her. And he's like, "So, honey, what's your name?" "Why do you want to know my name?" "Because I want to know who I'm looking at." So he's stalking her now. I knew this guy was no good. Oh, mate, what gave it away, the spooky music or the creepy voice? Settle down, mate, I'm just trying to keep up. Well, you've gone and made yourself look like an absolute turnip, mate, so shut up. Anyways, this bloke, he really loves his scary movies, doesn't he? So he makes her play a game, and if she guesses all the answers right, she gets to live. What kind of game? Oh, you know, the kind of up games they'd play at P. Diddy's house once he pulled out the baby oil. Gross. So what happens next? Well, get this, mate. Turns out she did have a boyfriend after all, because he makes her turn on the light in the back of her house, and some jock named Steve is bound and gagged in the backyard. He's bound and gagged? Sounds like this is a Diddy party after all. I know, right? Anyways, he asks her who the killer is in Friday the 13th, doesn't he? Jason. Duh. Everyone knows that. Nah, mate, you see, she's a idiot just like you, so she gets it wrong too. Hey mate, what is with the attitude today? I'm a bit hungover if I'm honest with you. Anyways, she's wrong because Jason Voorhees' mum is the killer in the first movie. And old mate Jason, he doesn't appear till the second film. He doesn't even put on the bloody hockey mask till the third one. Shit, really? That's wild. I know, right? Anyways, poor Steve cops it, doesn't he? So he gets gutted like a fish just because he decided to date the worst chick in town at pub trivia. Poor guy. Yeah, and then really takes a turn when he makes her guess which door he's bloody standing at. So she refuses to answer. This is getting intense. I know, right? This scene is iconic. So the bloke, he smashes into her house. And he kills her? Nah, mate. See, this movie is a parody of traditional horror movies. So in most slashers back in the day, the villain would execute their victims in easy and elaborate ways. Yeah, but the killers also somehow managed to catch up to them by walking at an incredibly slow pace. Oh, dude, that bugs me too. So anyways, the ghost face killer is the total opposite of this. He's useless. He's always tripping over. That's a nice twist, actually. Yeah, it is. Anyways, get this. She manages to steal a knife from the bench top and sneak outside, doesn't she? And then she sees her parents' car driving down the road. So she's almost safe. Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. How does she get away? Well, he bloody spots her, doesn't he? So he smashes through the window and grabs her. So she stabs him with the knife and then runs straight for her parents, right? Nah, mate, she decides to hit him with the phone instead of the knife because she's a idiot. Idiots. Mate, I just said that. Anyways, he kills her. What? Really? I thought that maybe she was going to be like a main character or something. Yeah, well, that's the thing. At the time, because Drew Barrymore was a big star, this totally took the audience by surprise. But rewatching it, it's like super obvious that she's going to die. Were audiences back then mentally challenged, or have movies just gotten a little more sophisticated? Yeah, a bit of both, I reckon, maybe. Anyways, he stabs her like a super unnecessary amount of times. Total small dick energy. And then he leaves her hanging from a tree with her guts hanging out. Worse than mine did after Taco Tuesday. Gross. And then we cut to the real main character, Sydney Prescott. Oh, nice. Who's she? Well, she's played by Neve Campbell, the chick from Wild Things who made out in a pool with Denise Richards. Oh yeah, I remember that scene. Yeah, of course you do, mate. That scene was all us teenage boys had before Pornhub existed. Anyways, Neve Campbell, Sydney, she's typing away on one of those old school computers, the kind that you had to disconnect your home phone from just to dial up to the internet and have a wank. Yeah, I remember those days. Those were dark times for gooners. They sure were. Anyways, she bloody screams, doesn't she? Because her super seedy boyfriend, Billy, climbs through her window looking like a full-on serial killer. Jesus Christ. So they want us to be suspicious of this bloke straight away, don't they? Yeah, they sure do, mate. Anyways, her dad comes to the door and he's like, "Hey, what's all that screaming about?" And then she's like, "I wasn't screaming, Dad, you idiot. I was just, eating ice cream." That makes no sense at all. God, I told your mother not to drink while she was pregnant. Anyways, listen, Sydney, I'm going out of town on a work conference. I'm telling you this because it's exposition, highlighting that I'll be away and you'll be vulnerable while there's a serial killer in town. Also, this will be a plot point that's brought back later on in the movie, so look out for that. Okay, Dad. Bye. What a weird exchange. Yeah, it's super weird, mate. Anyways, then Billy, he tries to get up inside Sydney's sweaty gash, doesn't he? But Sydney, she's not bloody having it, because apparently she has an underwear rule. What's an underwear rule? Yeah, no idea. They never explained that. Maybe she wears 2 pairs just in case she gets skid marks. Gross. So what? She just like throws the other pair out? I guess so. Anyways, Billy, he starts using movies as an analogy to describe their relationship for some reason, saying how Sydney reminds him of the movie The Exorcist, and that they used to be getting hot and heavy, so they were R-rated, but now things have slowed down to a PG movie because she can't be physically intimate anymore. This guy is a psycho. What kind of woman would be turned on by that? Sydney Prescott, that's who. And then we cut to the next day at school, and there's tension in the air because Gail Weathers and her news team are reporting on Drew Barrymore's murder. Gail Weathers? That sounds more like a porn star name than a weather reporter. I know, right? But she's not even a weather reporter. She's just like a local news reporter. So I really have no idea what they were going for with that pun at all. Yeah, that is needlessly confusing. Anyways, then we meet Sydney's best mate, Rose McGowan, who spends a lot of this film in tight tops, looking sexy with weirdly erect nipples. Yeah, those are weirdly erect, aren't they? Anyways, Rose McGowan is banging on about the murder, catching up both Sydney and the audience about what's been happening at the school. And then she gets all serious when she says, "It's like the worst thing to happen in this town since Since, what? Well, they're not so subtly hinting at a dark past for Sydney, are they? Anyways, then we meet the school principal, Henry Winkler, who's helping the police interview all the kids at school about the murder, just in case it was one of the students who did it. And then one of the police is like, "Who are we interviewing next?" "It's Sydney Prescott. She's the daughter of, Of who? Well, exactly. They're not so subtly hinting about Sydney's origin story again, even though they literally just did that about 5 seconds ago. Okay, well, I feel like once was enough, but go on. Anyways, Henry Winkler seems like an alright bloke because he seemingly wants to protect her from the police because of, whatever happened in her past. Oh, that's nice of him. Yeah, except he strokes her on the face without consent, which would totally get him fired nowadays. I mean, that's fair enough, right? Yeah, I reckon, mate. Anyways, we also meet Rose McGowan's older brother Dewey, who's apparently a deputy in training down at the local police station. And despite being a beta male, he has a massive 25-inch cock. Really? Well, no, but it's heavily implied because he walks like he's hauling around a stiff tree trunk in his right pant leg. Gross. So I'm guessing that this Dewey guy must become important to the plot later if they're spending so much time setting him up like this. Yeah, you'd think so, but considering he's one of the franchise's mainstay characters, he weirdly does sweet all in this film. Oh, well, that's disappointing. It sure is. So then we meet Sydney's other mates. There's Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, who acts like he's got a worse disability than the character Leonardo DiCaprio played in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Jesus. Yeah, and he acts super suspicious too, because Rose McGowan is talking about how Drew Barrymore was apparently gutted, right? And then Sydney, she recoils and she's like, how do you gut someone? You like take a knife, dude, and then you cut them from groin to sternum. And then he laughs like it was a super hilarious joke or something. How the hell does that pass as comedy? I mean, that's the kind of joke they'd probably love at the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, true. That comedy festival's existence is proof that we're living in the simulation, I reckon. Anyways, I'm sus on Shaggy. He looks no good. Well, that's exactly what the film wants you to think, mate, because they immediately tell you that he had an alibi last night because apparently him and Rose McGowan were doing anal sex dressed like furries. Really? Well, no, but it's heavily implied because she has this really surprised look on her face the whole scene, and then she says that Shaggy wants her to dress like Scooby-Doo while they're having sex. Gross. Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Anyways, Billy's there too, as well as Sydney's other mate Randy, who works at the local video store, and just like every other character in this film, he's so detached from reality that he talks about these horrific murders like they occurred in a Hollywood movie or something. Anyways, Randy's only real purpose in this film is to provide extended lore and exposition dumps, so doesn't really have a character. Let me guess, this pointless character becomes a major player in the franchise as well, right? Oh, you better believe it, mate. He kind of encapsulates Scream's meta commentary on horror, at least till they replace him in 4 with that hot chick from Heroes, and then they completely race swap the role entirely in Part 5, the Scream reboot/sequel that confusingly has the same title as the original movie. Man, I hate when studios do that. Well, to that movie's credit, it does kind of make fun of that trend in Hollywood because this series is meta, but I have a suspicion that the corporate goons in charge are hoping that people accidentally find the 5th film when they're hoping to Google the first one. That is a terrible idea. Then you're just ruining 2 movies instead of 1. Oh, you better believe it, mate. Anyways, after school, Sydney goes home to her house, which by the way is a mansion, considering it's just her and her old man that live there. Yeah, true. So far, the scariest thing in this movie has been how expensive housing prices have gotten since 1996. Yeah, nice one, wanker. Anyway, she gets on the blower to Rose McGowan, and he asks her if she can stay at her house, because her dad is conveniently out of town for the exact amount of time that it takes to do a killing spree. Yeah, that is suspicious. I know, right? And get this, her father looks even more suspicious when Sydney flicks on the TV and we see a news report about her mother, who, get this, was R-worded and murdered almost a year ago today. And before they arrested a bloke named Cotton Weary, her old man was the #1 suspect. I see, so that's why everyone has been dancing around her origin story so delicately, and why she won't have sex with Billy. Exactly, mate. Anyway, she falls asleep on the couch, doesn't she? Because apparently a day of doing all has really tired her out, and you'll never believe what wakes her up. A phone call? I'll get sorry, it's just that was a pretty obvious setup, mate. I do all the heavy lifting in this series, and we both know it. All right, just know your place, mate. You're a supporting character at best. You are really hungover today, aren't you? Anyways, it's not even the killer on the phone, is it? It's Rose McGowan. Apparently she's running late. Oh, good fake out. I know, right? And then the phone rings again, dandit. Is it the killer? Come on, man, what did I just say? Sorry. Anyways, the creepy voice on the other end of the phone is like, "Hello, Sydney. Do you like scary movies?" And then she says that she doesn't watch them anymore after what's eating Gilbert Grape scared the shit out of her. She doesn't say that. Well, no, but it's heavily implied. Anyway, Sydney reckons it's her gooner mate Randy from the video store playing a bloody prank on her, so she doesn't realise that she's actually in danger yet. But when the person on the other end of the phone says that they're on her porch, she starts shitting her pants. So I guess it's lucky that she's wearing 2 pairs. Gross. Anyway, she calls their bluff, doesn't she? And she decides to go and check it out. But when she does, there's no one bloody there. Interesting. So is her mate Randy a suspect now? I mean, yes, technically, but we already know that it's not him because he's on the poster for the second movie. Oh, spoilers, mate. Yeah, but get this, when she goes inside and locks the door, the f***ing killer jumps out of the cupboard right behind her. Jesus Christ. Wait, how did she not hear him talking on the phone this whole time? I know what you're thinking, that's lazy writing, just like the Big Bang Theory. But nah, mate, there's actually a really good reason for that that's revealed later on. Okay, you've got me hooked. What happens next? Well, the bloody killer chases her through the house, and because Ghostface is useless, she manages to kick him right in the ghoulies and lock herself in her bloody room. And Ghostface, he's pissed, right? Because she managed to kick him in the left testicle, which is his favourite one. Why would someone have a favourite testicle? Because it's a long-running joke on this channel, mate. Anyways, she can't call for help because the phone's dead. So what does she do? She uses the internet on her crazy old computer to contact the police. Anyways, Ghostface sees this, so he bloody legs it, doesn't he? But then get this, just after he leaves, old mate Billy climbs through the window looking like a full-on serial killer again. And to make it worse, he drops his bloody phone, doesn't he? Oh no, does he not have a screen protector on it or something? What? Nah mate, this is the 90s, so cell phones were like super rare, which means it's real sus that he's just carrying one around like that. Oh right. I almost forgot what life was like without phones. Right? It's like we're all just zombies looking for our next dopamine hit now or something. Anyways, Rose McGowan's brother Dewey the deputy arrives and he throws Billy into the slammer because he looks more guilty than O.J. Simpson did when he released that book titled I Did It, where the word if was really small on the front cover. Yeah, that book was wild. How was he not arrested again after writing that? No idea. Anyways, Gail Weathers rocks up. Who? You know, the not a porn star and not a weather woman? Oh yeah, she's fun. Well, apparently her and Sydney have this full-on history, don't they? And get this, she's writing a book about that bloke Cotton Weary and about how she thinks he's actually innocent. Really? That seems a bit predatory, making money off of a real-life murder like that, don't you think? Yeah, but Gail Weathers knows that teenage girls love to fap it hard while reading that true crime don't they? So it's gonna sell like hotcakes. But get this, when she asks Sydney to answer some questions for her book, Sydney tells her to piss off and go sit on a greasy fat one. And then she just straight up punches her in the face. Nice one. Also, you might want to hurry this up, mate. We don't want this to be longer than the actual movie. Good point. Okay, what are the most important beats? Oh yeah. So later that night, while Sydney is crashing at Hard Nipples, Rose McGowan's house, the bloody serial killer calls again, doesn't he? Oh shit. Really? Yeah, mate, which means that old mate Billy Jean is not my lover, is bloody innocent, isn't he? You're right, there's no way he could have made that call from jail. Yeah, exactly, mate, but that's not all. Sydney goes to take a massive greasy shit while she's at school the next day. And while she's in there, she overhears two chicks having a bitch about her. They're saying that she's making all this shit up about her being attacked and everything, just for attention. Well, that's a bit harsh. Also, what are the chances that two girls would be talking about her at the very moment she's walked into the dunny? I don't know, mate. I reckon about the same as her turning on a TV at the exact time that a news report was on about her and her mother. Oh yeah, good point. So Sydney, she starts having a cry in the toilet because she hasn't eaten enough fibre and she tore her little balloon knot trying to push out a poo the size of a small child. Why are you so obsessed with poo jokes, mate? I have IBS. Anyways, she's also having a cry because her mum died a year ago and it's starting to look like the killer might actually still be on the loose. I mean, fair enough, right? Yeah, exactly, but get this, she's not alone in the toilet, is she? The bloody killer is in there too. Fuck, no way. Yes way, mate. Apparently he was just waiting in there all day on the off chance that she'd go and take a huge shit, and there also happen to be no witnesses. Yeah, true. What are the chances of that? What is that, your catchphrase or something now, mate? Yeah, maybe. Do you like it? Not really. Anyways, apparently according to the police, these ghost face masks, they can be found at any corner store on Halloween, which is making it super hard to track down where they bought the mask that they found at the crime scene. Ah, damn, unlucky. Right, so then a couple of larrikins who think they're performing at the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia run through the hallways dressed like the ghost face killer as a bloody joke. Wait, how do the kids at school know what the killer was wearing? Surely that wouldn't be public knowledge during an open investigation. Yeah, but apparently Kash Patel is running this investigation or something because it's become an absolute show. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. Anyways, Henry Winkler is pissed that these kids have been scaring people at school because he doesn't want anyone freaking out unnecessarily. Ah, so does he suspend them and then tell them to straighten up and fly right? Nah, mate, he threatens them with a sharp pair of scissors and then just smells them. Jesus Christ, Fonzie doesn't around, does he? No, he doesn't. Not since he jumped that shark. Yeah, so he's a bit suspicious now too, isn't he? Threatening students with scissors and all that. Yeah, that's what I thought too, mate. But then Ghostface rocks up to school after it's closed, just straight up kills him. Well, why waste all that time setting him up to be a suspect then? No idea. And honestly, I love Henry Winkler, but his acting during this death scene is absolutely dreadful. Shit, that is bad. Right? So later that night, Sydney is talking to Hard Nipples McGowan, and apparently her boyfriend Shaggy from Scooby-Doo is throwing a party tomorrow night. and she thinks that Sydney should go because she reckons it'll be good for her. Why would going to a crowded house party filled with potential suspects be good for her? No idea, mate. I reckon Rose McGowan has been snorting lines between scenes or something, because that makes no sense at all. I mean, if I'm remembering right, she did used to date Marilyn Manson. Oh yeah, true. Isn't that the same bloke who had 2 ribs removed so that he could suck his own cock? I'm pretty sure that's just an urban legend, but I like to believe it's true. Anyways, Sydney, she's still sus on Shaggy because he acts like a full-blown Discord mod, and she also knows that he's best mates with Billie Jean, who's apparently going to the party too. So she's thinking that maybe it's not a good idea to go to this party. Phew. So she decides to stay home with a loaded gun by her bed, right? No, mate, she only agrees to go, doesn't she? Idiots! So the next day, the whole town has been put under curfew lockdown, which local law enforcement say will be in place until the killer is found, or till after something called COVID happens in about 30 years' time. So then Sydney and Rose McGowan go shopping for booze for the party, and then we cut to a scene with their gooner mate Randy at the local video store. Okay, well this seems a bit random. What's the point in this scene? Well, see, Randy, he's convinced that Billy is still the killer, and for some reason he decides to say this right in front of Billy's best friend Shaggy, while Billy is standing within earshot. Idiot! Right? Anyways, Randy reckons that the whole killer boyfriend shtick fits perfectly with horror movie logic. I mean, he has got a point, but he's still clear because of that phone call though. Yeah, but Billy and Shaggy get up in his face and threaten him because they're not happy that he's going around telling everyone that he thinks they're potential serial killers, and that Shaggy likes to dress his girlfriend up like Scooby-Doo and f her in the pooper. Gross. So is this guy their friend or what? They don't even seem to like him. It's super unclear if I'm honest. He also seems to know a lot about horror movies, just like the killer. Are you sure he's not Ghostface? No, he's not, because remember, he's on the poster for the second film. Oh, right. Anyways, Billy threatens him again, and then walks off with a menacing serial killer look on his face. What does Sydney see in this guy again? No idea. Anyways, Dewey offers to drive Rose McGowan and Sydney to the party because he wants to make sure they're both safe. And he also wants to know how the hell his sister Patricia Arquette's TV show, Medium, lasted 7 seasons. Yeah, true. That show was absolutely garbage. I know, right? Who the f was watching that? Anyways, it's clear Dewey is a bit of a Gilbert Grape, because if he really wanted to keep them safe, he'd just have them stay home with him instead. What a moron. Anyways, Sydney and Rose McGowan, they finally get to the party, don't they? And just like every other house in town, it's an absolute mansion that was probably bought for like $5 back in 1996 and is somehow also conveniently located in the middle of nowhere. I'm getting pretty jealous of these houses too. Mine didn't even have a bloody toilet when we bought it. Well, at least you could afford a bloody house, mate. I only got mine by boarding myself up in my neighbour's place long enough to declare squatters' rights. Really? So that's why you live at Damo's old house. So where does he live now? I don't know, I think he died maybe? Anyways, who cares? You'll never guess whose news van is parked out front. Gail Weathers? I guess I did kind of lead the witness with that question, didn't I? I should have said, you'll never guess whose van is parked out the front. It's too late to save that, mate. Just move on. Oh, f you. So anyways, Dewey drops off his sister and Sydney at the party, and then he starts flirting hard with Gail Weathers. And it's clear that Dewey is getting a little bit gooey in his pants. Oh, because he thinks she's a porn star. No, I have no idea why it's included, to be honest. This movie tries really hard to ship these two, despite it having nothing to do with the actual plot. Apparently the two actors were actually banging each other behind the scenes while filming the movie, so maybe Wes Craven thought they had good screen chemistry or something. Really? Yeah, they got married and everything. Oh, that's cute. Not really, mate, because they got divorced like 99% of all the Hollywood marriages. Anyways, we cut to Rose McGowan and Shaggy, and she tells him that they've run out of beer. So he's like, there's some in the basement, Scoob. Just go down and get some. So, like a full-on NPC, she walks downstairs all alone into a spooky garage to get the beers. What the hell is she thinking? There's a bloody killer on the loose. No idea. Anyway, she gets killed. Yeah, no sh**. How does she die? Well, she actually manages to put up a bloody good fight by throwing some beers right into Ghostface's dick, doesn't she? Ghostface's cock really cops a beating in this film, doesn't it? It sure does, mate. More than mine does on a Tuesday night. So then she tries to escape through the tiny dog flap in the rolling mechanical door. Well, that's a horrible idea. Exactly. So Ghostface presses the bloody button to open the door, and she gets trapped in it as it rolls upwards, and then it snaps her neck. There is no way a garage roller door would be that strong. Yeah, apparently it was powered by movie logic. Anyways, inside the party, Sydney is standing alone, looking all emo when Billy rocks up, who has a habit of rocking up right after someone has been killed. But she doesn't know that yet, so she agrees to go upstairs with him and have a bloody talk about their relationship. Well, she's a idiot, so let me guess, she goes upstairs alone and without witnesses, right? Oh, you better believe it, mate. And what makes it worse is half of the party is now bailing because of the curfew laws, so the house is practically empty. So Sydney is just like suicidal at this point? She wants to die. No, mate, she's just a idiot. Anyways, her and Billy finally have a talk, don't they? And she's like, I'm sorry. And then Billy's like,
It's okay, babe. I'm sorry too. I know you lost your mom and have feelings and stuff.
aw, maybe he isn't such a bad guy after all. Yeah, but then he gets weird again by saying how she reminds him of Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs. And then she's like, this isn't a movie, Billy. This is real life.
Of course it is, Sid. It's all a movie. It's just one big movie.
I take it back. This guy is a psycho. So she runs out of the room and never speaks to him again, right? No, mate. She only bloody sleeps with him, doesn't she? Idiots. Anyways, get this. While Sydney and Billie Jean are playing Who Let the Dogs Out and then put them back in again and then took them out again, Gail Weathers and her cameraman Kevin have set up a hidden camera inside the house, haven't they? In hopes of finding out who the killer is and getting the hot scoop. So she's waiting for someone to be killed live on camera to boost her ratings. Are we supposed to like this character? I'm not really sure. She's kind of a massive for the whole movie, but she does seem to really care about that Cotton Weary bloke being falsely accused. So I guess we're supposed to think that she's not all bad or something? That's not really winning me over. Yeah, I know, right? Anyways, the camera is set up in the lounge room, so Kevin is watching Randy and some of his mates who are watching a horror movie inside of a horror movie. Pretty meta, right? And because Randy is on the hard end of the spectrum, he starts getting annoyed that no one knows the rules to surviving a horror movie. So he gets up and he's like,
Yo, there are rules to survive in a horror movie, dudes. Rule number 1, don't talk about Fight Club. Rule number 2, never cross the streams. Rule number 3, don't feed the gremlins after midnight.
not one of those rules is from an actual horror movie. Really? Well, I might be forgetting them because I was drinking a lot last night. Anyways, because Randy is giving everyone bad vibes with his specco energy, everyone just straight up leaves, which means now it's only Randy, Billy, Sydney, and Shaggy in the house. Okay, interesting. I feel like we're ramping up to the end here. Oh, you better believe it, mate. So Billy pulls out a Sydney and he hits her with a super messy back shot. And then they start talking about their relationship while they're getting dressed. Gross. That doesn't happen, does it? The back shot? Nah, but it's heavily implied. Anyways, she jokingly asks him who he chose for his one phone call while he was in prison. And he's like,
I called my dad, babe.
and then get this, she gets all serious and she's like, no you didn't. The sheriff called your dad? I saw him while I was at the station. And then he's like,
Yeah, but when I called, I didn't get an answer.
well, that sounds like a massive lie. Yeah, big time. And then he starts looking at her Ted Bundy style and he's like,
What do I have to do to prove to you that I'm not the killer, Sid?
what does she say? Nothing, mate, because bloody Ghostface sneaks in the room behind Billy and stabs him like 40 times. Jesus Christ, I did not see that one coming. I know, right? Epic misdirect. Anyways, then Ghostface comes at her harder than Billy came all over her back. Gross. But then she manages to knee him in the balls again, and then she escapes by jumping out of a window. I feel like all you'd need to do at this point in the film to identify Ghostface is just look for the guy with the incredibly bruised and swollen cock. I know, right? Anyways, Gail's cameraman Kevin is still watching Randy the Gooner on their hidden camera when Sydney rocks up screaming her bloody head off about Ghostface trying to kill her. And Kevin, he's wondering if it's that time of the month again, but just as he goes to offer Sydney a box of tampons, he sees Ghostface creep up behind Randy on the monitor. Oh, So Randy isn't the killer. What? No, mate, I've already told you that like twice now. Anyways, because Kevin isn't a cunt like Gail, he goes to leg it inside to help. But he's forgotten that there's a 30-second delay on the camera feed. So as soon as he steps out of the van, he gets harder than Riley Reid in a Tushy.com video. Ghostface bloody tricked him. Gross. So how does this killer know about the hidden camera? No idea, mate. It's never explained. Anyway, Sydney gets the out of there, doesn't she? And Dewey and Gail get back to the house. And Dewey, he sees the place is an absolute mess now. So he goes inside to investigate. Okay, so where were they? I didn't even know they were gone. Well, there's this whole boring C plot where they go on this romantic little walk. I couldn't be explaining that because it has zero to do with the actual plot. Anyways, Gail, she goes back to the van and she sees a big old puddle of blood and a box of tampons. So she's super confused. Then she pulls out a ridiculously large mobile phone and goes to call the police when Randy bloody jump scares her at the car window. Oh, so Randy's still alive. How many times do I need to tell you that he's in the sequel, mate? Anyways, she smashes him in the face with her phone because he's on the spectrum, which is a full-on hate crime, I reckon. And then she drives off in her van. What a But get this, she can't see out the window because there's so much blood. And old mate Kevin's corpse falls off the front of the car. So she's driving blind. And then Sydney runs out into the road trying to flag her down for help. So she swerves off the bloody road and hits a tree with her van. What an absolute show. I know, right? So Sydney, she legs it back to the house, just as Dewey staggers out the front door with a bloody knife in his back. Why the hell would she go back to the house? Mate, I've got no idea. They'd obviously paid to film at this house and probably couldn't afford another location. Anyways, Shaggy and Randy run up screaming behind her, and at this point, Sydney doesn't trust bloody anyone. So she pulls the gun off Dewey's corpse and points it at him. Excellent. So she's finally doing something smart. Exactly, mate. So both Randy and Shaggy are pleading with her, trying to convince her that the other one is the killer. And she can't tell who's telling the truth, so she tells them both to go piss off and sit on a greasy fat one, and slams the door in their face. Nice one. But then get this, when she turns around, Billy Jean staggers out of the upstairs bedroom, all bloody and beaten. What? How the hell is he still alive? I know, right? But he's in rough shape. So he takes like a full-on tumble down the stairs. So Sydney goes over to help him, and he says he'll take the gun and protect her from Randy and Shaggy. How is a guy that was stabbed multiple times and just fell down a flight of stairs going to protect her? There's something off about this. I call Well, you're a smart cookie, aren't you? Because bloody Billy, he starts looking like Christian Bale from American Psycho, doesn't he? And then he unlocks the door and Randy comes running in screaming, saying that Shaggy has lost his mind and that he's the real killer. Oh, But then get this, Billy shoots Randy. So Billy was the killer the whole time. Yeah, mate, they really get you with the whole fake death thing, don't they? Anyway, Sydney, she turns to leg it out of there and she bumps into Shaggy, and he holds up one of those voice modulator things, and he's like,
Surprise.
What? Sorry, that was Dokes from Dexter. Shaggy is like, surprise, Sydney. Oh, so they've both been killing people. That explains how Ghostface looks like he was in two places at once, and how he was able to make the call to Sydney while Billy was still in jail. Exactly, mate. So Billy and Shaggy start monologuing big time, and Billy tells Sydney that he was the one who killed her mum, because apparently she was sleeping with his dad, which caused his mum to move out and abandon him. Oh. Well, that's a pretty flimsy motive. Yeah, I know, right? And the movie kind of knows this because Billy starts talking about how that motive could actually be and that it's actually scarier in horror movies when the killers have no motive at all. Oh, I see. I mean, you can't just cover up bad writing by drawing attention to the fact that it's bad writing. Sure you can. We do it all the time on this channel, mate. Anyways, this is it. Billy and Shaggy are gonna murder Sydney now. But here's the kicker. They start stabbing each other like they're Captain Stabbing or something. Why do I get the feeling that that's another porn reference? Well, that's because it is. Anyways, they bring in Sydney's old man. They've had him tied up this whole time. Apparently their plan is to kill both him and Sydney and then frame her old man with the murder weapon and say that they killed him in self-defense. Okay, that's not a bad plan at all actually, because the cops already fingered her dad for the crime, but they couldn't prove it. Exactly, mate. Just like you fingered Veronica Bishop in the backseat of her mum's car and then stained the seat because you got the wrong hole. Dude, I told you that in confidence. Anyways, then Randy and Shaggy go too far stabbing each other, don't they? So they start getting all woozy. And then get this, Gail Weathers rocks up and she's got Dewey's gun. Nice one. She's finally done something useful. Exactly, mate. Except the stupid wanker has left the safety on, so Billy does like this Liu Kang style kick and knocks her out cold. Idiot. She sure is, mate. But get this, Sydney has managed to leg it while they were both distracted with Gail. And you'll never believe this, the phone starts ringing. What? Because it's bloody Sydney. She's turned the tables on Billy and Shaggy and she's taken the knife and the voice modulator. Why wouldn't she just run straight for the police? No idea. I'm getting the vibes that she's just as unhinged as these two blokes. Oh, does she become Ghostface in the next Scream movie then? Nah, mate, but that would have made a lot of sense actually. Anyway, she bloody manages to get the jump on Billy and Shaggy, doesn't she? Not to sound sexist, but how does a woman overpower two full-grown men? Well, remember they went all Captain Stabbing on each other, so they're all weak and woozy now. So she manages to smash a bloody TV over Shaggy's head and electrocutes him. And then she hides in a cupboard and jumps out wearing a Ghostface costume and stabs Billy with a
umbrella.
An umbrella? What the hell?
Yeah, I have no idea how that works.
Also, her fingerprints are now on the murder weapon and she's wearing the bloody killer's costume. What if the cops showed up?
Well, then she'd be f***ed, I guess. Anyways, Billy comes back from the dead again, and then bang! He gets bloody shot.
By Sydney? Who has the gun at this point? I'm totally lost.
Nah, mate, Gail Weathers, who woke up from being rendered unconscious at the most convenient point in the whole film. And then Randy and Dewey wake up too, because apparently they were just all playing dead till Sydney took care of the killers or something. And then Randy's like, careful, this is the point in the movie where the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare. And then Billy wakes up again.
How many times is this guy going to come back from the bloody dead?
No, mate, this is the last time, I promise. Because Sydney, she shoots him right in the head.
He's not going to be in Scream 2.
Didn't you make that same joke in the last video, mate?
Oh yeah, true.
Anyways, then we cut to the credits and we get the scariest thing in the whole damn movie.
Oh, does Shaggy come back to life this time?
Nah, mate, we find out this film was a Harvey Weinstein production. Anyways, that's it. That's the end of the movie. Finally.
Nice. I feel like this was a fun one. What would you give it out of 5?
Well, the humor's kind of lame, the plot is incredibly predictable, and to be honest, a bit of the dialogue hasn't aged that well, but you can't deny it's a classic. 4.5 out of 5 beers.
Oh, snap. You almost had me there, you cheeky bastard.
That's it, you know the deal. Subscribe, comment for the algorithm, piss off.